So hello and welcome back to Go Again Gaming. My name is Az, and today this is another MTG Spotlight video for you. We're going to be going through the Planar Portal deck list for the new Adventures in the Forgotten Realms Spoiled Commander decks by MTG Goldfish. And if you're here in place of one of the larger MTG YouTubers, then definitely please hit the like and subscribe button and hit the little bell notification if you do want to be notified of any future videos. I'll not only do more MTG stuff going forward, but the majority of my channel is Flesh and Blood, board games, MTG. There's going to be lots of stuff coming out, but mainly Flesh and Blood. So if you are here for the MTG stuff, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button because there will be more. So yeah, this is the Planar Portal decks. This is the Rakdos deck, it's the most value-based deck I think out of the four that have been released so far, and it's definitely the one that speaks to me the most because of its sort of devilish, demonic, arcane sort of nature. I'm a massive fan of sort of demonic contracts and all that sort of stuff. So you'll come to see a lot of cool stuff in this deck. So let's hit over to the webpage here and we can have a look together. So this is on MTG Goldfish, and the commander of this deck is Prosper Tomebound. So I'll try and get this up a little bit bigger for you on the screen here. So Prosper Tomebound. So he's a Tiefling Warlock, first of all, which is really, really interesting, because Tiefling, this is the first time we've seen Tieflings in MTG, which is good. So it's basically like a half-devil, half-human sort of type character, or one that's sort of tainted by the sort of pacts that devils make with people. So, yeah, that's Prosper Tomebound. So it's two generic, black and red for a legendary creature, Tiefling Warlock. It's a 1/4 with Death Touch, so it can trade with anything, which is quite good. And it's got Mystic Arcanum. At the beginning of your end step, exile the top card of your library until end of turn. Until end of your next turn, you may play that card. So that's brilliant. So it's a little bit of card advantage. So until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. So you're basically drawing a card because it's going to be in your hand essentially until the end of your next turn. So you can play lands with this, you can play instants on other players' turns until it comes round to your next turn, which is quite good. You can play any card from that sort of exiled zone there that corresponds to the Mystic Arcanum ability. And you can obviously, it's a triggered ability, so you can double these up with things like Stronic Resonator and what have you. So definitely worth looking into the interactions with that. But yeah, and it's also got Pact Boon as well. So whenever you play a card from exile, create a treasure token. So if you look at this as the commander from the front, just the front face, you can see that this is going to care about casting things from exile. So spoiler alert. The new Tibalt is not in this deck, so you probably want to be putting Tibalt in here. The new Tibalt from Kaldheim, that is, because he definitely knocks on this same door that Prosper is. So yeah, cool, really, really cool card. It's going to be interesting to see how the other cards in the deck do interact with this, because it cares about playing stuff from exile, which is normally not really a thing, because exile normally is, it's gone. After it's been exiled, it's gone forever. So it's going to be interesting to see. So let's go through the creatures first of all. There's 20 of them. I'm not going to spend too long on this video because it's just a spotlight. So we've got a Dark Dweller Oracle. So this is it's not a new card, so it's 1 red and 1 other for a Goblin Shaman. This is 2/2. You can pay 1 and sack a creature and exile the top card of your library until you may play that card this turn. Again, so you may play that card this turn. If you do, obviously it triggers then Prosper's ability, so you create a treasure. So then all of these cards could potentially turn into ramp for you as well, which is quite good. So that's good. That's a good worth place in the deck. Direfleet Daredevil, one of the more expensive reprints in there. I think I do have one of these actually as well. So 1 red, 1 other for a 2/1 human pirate from Ixalan with first strike. And it says when Direfleet Daredevil enters the battlefield, exile target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast that card this turn. You may spend mana as a mana of any colour or any type to cast that spell. And if that card we put into the graveyard, exile it instead. So yeah, again, you're stealing an instant or sorcery from someone else's graveyard, and if Prospero's on the battlefield, you create a treasure. So yeah, definitely very good in the deck. Loyal Apprentice, I don't know why this is in here. So this will probably be one of the ones that we take out. It's a 2/1 with haste, and it has Lieutenant. It costs 2 to play. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, you get a 1/1 Thopter with flying and haste. Yeah, well, it gains haste instead of turn. It's garbage. Just take that out straight away. Pipe of the Swarm, again, another weird card. I don't understand why you'd have this in there. Black and 1 for a human warlock. It's a 1/3. It says rats you control of menace. You can pay 2 and tap to create a 1/1 black rat, and then you can pay 2 black and 2 others and sacrifice 3 rats to gain control of a target creature. So I don't know why that's in there. Rat tribal. What's that doing in there? Is it Chemster? So 1 red and 2 for a Goblin Wizard with a haste, 1/3, and you can pay a red and tap it to exile target instant or sorcery from your graveyard, and then you can pay 1 and a red and sacrifice it and cast a number of cards exiled with Is it Chemster without paying their mana costs. So that's pretty good. Yeah, so that can be pretty good. And obviously, when you cast them from exile, you get treasures. So yeah, that's good in the deck. So yeah, that's fair. That's a fair include. Chaos Channeler, which is a card from the main set, the main draft set. So it's 2 red and 2 for a human shaman, and it's a 4/3, and it has one of these flavor text abilities, Wild Magic Surge. And whenever the shaman attacks, you roll a d20. On a score of 1 to 9, you exile the top card of your library you may play at this turn. So that counts for lands and what have you, so that's good. From 10 to 19, exile the top 2 cards of your library. You may play them this turn, so that's good. And then if you roll a natural 20, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play them this turn. So again, yeah, very good in the deck, because if you've got Prosper out, you can make treasures from the cards that you play. So yeah, very, very good. If we go back to Prosper a minute, it says whenever you play a card from exile, you get a treasure token. So even if you play lands, you're going to get a treasure, which is awesome. So that also works with the fact that you can play cards from the cards exiled. If it's a land, you get a treasure. Good stuff. Chittering Witch, again, another rat-based card. So I don't know why this is in here. Maybe there's a payoff for rats somewhere along the line. We'll see. But yeah, black and 3 for a human warlock, 2/2. When it enters, you get a number of 1/1s equal to the number of opponents you have. So in a game of Commander, normally you get 3 rats, and you can pay a black and 1 and sacrifice a creature, normally a rat, to give target creature -2/-2 at the end of turn. So it brings out bodies when it enters, but then you can also sack off bodies to potentially remove problematic creatures. Don't know why that's in there. Gonti, this makes sense. So black and 2 for a 2/3 of Death Touch, Aetherborn Rogue. And when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 4 cards of target opponent's library and exile one of them face down, and put the rest on the bottom of that library in a random order. And you may look at and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. And you may spend mana as a mana of any colour to cast that spell. Yeah. So again, comes in. You look at the opponent's top 4. Exile a card face down, you can play it, and you can spend mana as though at any colour, and if you do, obviously, you get a treasure token if Prosper is out, so that's very good. Gonti, Lord of Luxury. Grim Hireling, so this is a new card from this actual Commander set, I believe. So it's black and 3 for a Tiefling Rogue, awesome. That is what I used to play in D&D, a Tiefling Rogue Assassin, love it. And it says whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create 2 treasure tokens. So it's only 1 trigger. So whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage, you get 2 treasure tokens. But still, that's pretty good. So it's sort of mono black ramp almost that cares about combat. And then it's a 3/2, and you can pay a black and sacrifice X treasures. Target creature gets -X/-X instead of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. So something that cares about the treasures that you're getting from casting things from exile, as well as attacking. So yeah, it's just giving you something else to do with the treasures if you don't want it for mana, which is quite good. Then we've got Tectonic Giant from Theros, red and 2. And then it says whenever it's a 3/4, whenever it attacks or becomes a target of a spell or ability, choose 1. It deals 3 damage to each opponent, or exile top 2 cards of your library. Choose 1 of them. Instead of turn, you may play that card. So again, yeah, pretty cool. You either just a big beater, really, and obviously it can deal some damage to your opponents directly, or you can just again get some more value off the top of your library, which is nice. Wild Magic Sorcerer, again another new card for this Commander deck. So red and 3 for an Orc Shaman, costs 4 mana. It's a 4/3 for red and 3. The first spell you cast from exile each turn has Cascade. So that's very good. So that's really, really good. Especially in this deck, because even cards that you're playing from exile then turn into other cards with less mana value. So that's very good. Death Tyrant. This is a new card in the commander deck, and it's a Beholder Skeleton, which is brilliant. Costs black and 4 for a 4/6 with Menace. Excuse me. Negative Energy Cone is a thematic ability that it has, triggered ability, and it says whenever an attacking creature you control or a blocking creature an opponent controls dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So if an attacking creature you control dies or a blocking creature the opponent controls dies, you get a 2/2 zombie, which is good because it obviously allows you to attack with the insurance that you're going to get some sort of creature back if your creature dies or if their creature dies. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what it's doing in this deck, but still nice to see a Beholder Skeleton. Then we've got Fiend of the Shadows. This is from Avacyn Restored, I think. Very old reprint. I think it's Avacyn Restored or something along those lines. Very Innistrad sort of block. Black and 3 for a Vampire Wizard with flying. It's a 3/3, and whenever it deals damage to a player, that player exiles a card from his or her hand. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and then you can sack a human to regenerate Fiend of Shadows. So yeah, just another good card, a 3/3 flyer that then hits people. They have to sort of exile cards from their hand, which you can then play with other cards. Get treasures for doing so, so that's nice. This is a new card, which could be your commander, if you wanted to, in this deck, or other decks in the future. And that is Karazikar the Eye Tyrant. So it's a 5 CMC, or 5 mana value, black, red, and 3, for a legendary creature Beholder. It's only in this set as well. It's a 5/5, and it says whenever you attack a player, tap target creature that player controls and goad it. And then whenever an opponent attacks another one of your opponents, you and the attacking player each draw a card and lose a life. So it would be great in those sort of goady combat matters, Santis the Warweaver, everything must attack all the time sort of style game. And goading as well is just a great mechanic because you could just pick out a creature and they have to go somewhere else, and you get a benefit for doing that on this card, which is very, very good. So I can imagine this would probably sort of replace, the Carder sort of Doom Scourge commander decks maybe, or could even see a place in the 99, 100%. Then we've got Ogre Slumlord, another card that cares about rat tokens. I mean, I don't know where there's this sort of rat synergy. Maybe it's a D&D thing that cares about rat synergy. I don't know. But yeah, Ogre Slumlord, black and 3 for an Ogre Rogue, 3/3. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, or whenever another non-token creature dies, period, you get a 1/1 black rat. And obviously rats you control then have Death Touch while this guy is out. So it's a bit of a rat payoff if you've got loads of them, but I don't know what it's doing in there. Atali, brilliant card in this deck. Fantastic card in general for a mono-red commander. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, one of my friend's favourite cards. Red, and 4 for a legendary Elder Dinosaur 6/6. Whenever it attacks, exile the top card of each player's library. Then you may cast any number of those cards without paying their mana cost. So again, yeah, if you've got Prosper out and you're swinging with Vitali, you're casting 3 cards and then getting 3 treasures every time you do that. That seems pretty decent. Then we've got Marionette Master. Sorry, I've had just a very, very strong coffee, and the dairy just screws my throat up. Black and 4 for a Human Artificer as a 1/3 with Fabricate. 3, so when this creature enters the battlefield, you may put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or create 3 1/1 colourless servo artifact creature tokens. And then whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So, again, I don't know why that's in there. That's just a waste of a card, really. Pontiff of Blight is the next card. Black and 4 for a zombie cleric. It's a 2/7 with Extort. So obviously whenever you cast a spell, you may pay white or black, and if you do, each opponent loses 1 life, and then you gain that much life. So it's a good way of sort of draining people out if you're casting lots of spells, but I don't know what it's doing in this deck. And it says other creatures you control also have Extort. So again, I don't know what that's doing in there. you definitely find better options. Dream Pillager. I didn't even know this was a card until I saw it reprinted in this deck. So it's a red and 5 for a 4/4 flying dragon, and then whenever it deals combat damage to a player, exile that many cards from the top of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast non-land cards exiled this way. So pretty good. You know, it fits in flavour with the deck, but for a 7-mana creature, a 7-mana 4/4, which has to deal combat damage to allow you to draw basically cards, and then still have to pay for them to play them. For potential benefit, I don't know whether that's worth having, but it was good to see, and the artwork is awesome. This is a brilliant card. This next card is fantastic. Absolutely love this card. I have to click it. See if I can make it a bit bigger for you. Lorcan, the Warlock Collector, legendary creature Devil, unique to this particular set. It's a 6/6 flyer, and whenever a creature card is put into a graveyard from an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, you may pay life equal to its mana value. And if you do, put it onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Warlock in addition to its other types. And if a Warlock you control would die, exile it instead. So this is brilliant for hosing Reanimator graveyard strategies, but also fueling your own Reanimator graveyard strategies. And it also works in things like Villis, Broker of Blood, where you care about losing life to draw that many cards. It's just a fantastic card, and I can see it being in a lot of decks going forward. It's just a big mono black beater that has some serious upside for both hating on your opponents and fueling your own strategies, also paying life for potential benefit as well. It's a 6/6 flyer. So yeah, it's a fantastic card, and it's good to see a mono black Devil. So is Devil going to replace Demon? Because we've seen a lot of Devils in the D&D sets going forward, and I would have liked to see this as a Demon, but it does feel devilly. Yeah, will Devils see more of a thing going forward? I think they probably will. And it's good to see mono black ones as well, but I think Devils are more Rakdos. But yeah, I mean, that's just a little small gripe that I have. I just wanted to see a big Demon, but that's just me, isn't it? But yeah, so that's that Lorcan. I think that was brilliant, and I think that's the last creature in the deck. So yeah, that's all the creatures in the deck. Yeah, there's a couple of things in there you probably take out, like Loyal Apprentice, Piper of the Swarm, all the rat-based things. Yeah, there's a couple of creatures you'd probably take out of there, but all in all, I think it's quite cool. The creatures do work well together. In the main. So let's go into the spells now. It's 21 of these. So we've got Vandal Blast. That's a lovely little reprint for destroying all artifacts. So you pay a red to destroy target artifact you don't control, or you can overload it to destroy each artifact you don't control. So that's good. Commune with Lava is brilliant in this deck because it cares about exiling top cards of library. Until end of turn, you may play those cards. So again, it works with lands. So you can also get land drops off of this. And again, with Prosper out, you again create treasures. So Commune with Lava, definitely a explosive style spell in this type of deck. Rakdos Charm, black and red for instant. Choose one, exile all cards from target player's graveyard, destroy target artifact, or each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. So yeah, it's just a fantastic Rakdos include, because it can either host someone's graveyard, it can destroy an artifact, this removal spell, or it can just outright kill someone who's playing a massive go wide strategy. Terminate, just destroy target creature for black and red, brilliant. You Find Some Prisoners, which is a D&D card from the actual set. Red and 1 for an instant. You can choose one. You can break their chain to destroy target artifact, or you can interrogate them. You can exile top 3 cards of target opponent's library. Choose one of them. Instead of your next turn, you may play that card, and you may spend mana mana of any color to cast it. So that's pretty good. I mean, that can work as a ramp spell in red. That can basically read as a rampant growth in red if you're lucky enough to get a land. So 1 in red, you play this, you choose interrogate them, you exile top 3 cards, target opponent's library, you choose a land, and until your next turn you may play that card. So I think that's pretty good. However, you wouldn't be able to do this on another opponent's turn, because you can't play lands on your opponent's turn, because you may play that card, so you can't play it where it couldn't be played normally. So you want to be playing this on your turn if you're a land behind, choosing someone that's got a land matters deck and just nicking one of their lands off the top. So could be mono red ramp basically, or if not, it does synergize with the rest of the deck and prosper the commander or the general of the deck. So that's good. Bedevil, nice little removal spell, black and red, destroy target artifact, creature or planeswalker. Just pretty decent. Chaos Warp, again, another bit of single target removal, red and 2. Owner of target permanent shuffles it into his or her library, then reveals top card of his or her library. If it's a permanent card, it goes onto the battlefield. So, impulsive removal, good stuff. This is a fantastic card. It's new, Hellish Rebuke. So this is like the Tiefling ability that you start with if you're a Tiefling in D&D. If someone hits you, you can point at them, and then they take damage or something along the lines of that. I can't remember what it does, but you get Hellish Rebuke if you are a Tiefling, which is very thematic. But this is a brilliant card. This is an instant, and it costs black and 2, and it says, until end of turn, permanents your opponent's control gain when this permanent deals damage to the player who cast Hellish Rebuke. Sacrifice this permanent, you lose 2 life. So that is wild sauce. So if someone's just swinging at you with everything, and you manage to survive you can just cast Hellish Rebuke. They have to sack all of their creatures and then lose 2 life for each permanent that's dealt damage that way. So that is pretty good. It's a really, really good sort of in-your-face, swing it back on you sort of card, and I really, really like the inclusion. So it's Hellish Rebuke. Light up the stage, good little Rakdos card that cares about exiling cards. So you can pay red and 2 for a sorcery, and it says exile the top 2 cards of your library until end of turn. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So again, could act as a ramp spell, or just again accessing more of the top cards of your library for Prosper to create treasures. And it has a spectacle cost on there as well, so it costs a red if an opponent lost life this turn. That could be also activated as well most of the time, so that's good. Consuming Vapours, just another removal spell, but it obviously casts itself twice basically, so it's basically like 2 copies of the same card. Black and 3 for a sorcery, target player sacrifices a creature, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness, and it rebounds on your next turn, so you can cast it next turn for free. Disrupt Decorum, this is a brilliant reprint in this deck, so it warrants picking up this deck for this card alone. So red and 2 for a sorcery, goad all creatures you don't control. That's really, really good. That's basically what Karda the Doom Scourge does. I love that card. That'll probably go in the Karda Doom Scourge deck that I've always wanted to make. I don't know if it really sees a place in this deck just for creating some more chaos, but very good. Hurl Through Hell. This is a new card from this particular deck itself. 2 generic, black and red for an instant. Exile target creature. So 4 mana, exile target creature. Until end of your next turn, you may cast that card and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast that spell. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. You may spend mana of any colour. I don't know. It's quite expensive to do what you really want it to do. So you cast it for black, red, and 2 to exile a creature, which is good. Can get around sort of Avacins and indestructible things and what have you. But then you have the ability to cast that card, and you may spend mana as though any mana to cast that spell. So you're basically stealing someone's creature for 4 mana plus the CMC or the mana value. So it's quite highly costed. But for black and red to do this at instant speed is quite good, I think. So it's basically like, gaining control of something for a very, very high cost, which is good, And if you don't want to gain control of it, you can just exile the thing. I do like that. It's a nice little inclusion, and it's very thematic with the fact that this deck is very hellish and sort of devilish. I do like that card. Ignite the Future. I don't know where we've seen this before. Commander 2020 or something, maybe. Red and 3 for a sorcery. Exile the top 3 cards of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play those cards, and if this spell was cast from a graveyard, you may play those cards without paying their mana costs. So yeah, a fantastic card in this deck. So yeah, you got the original spell on there, which means you can just exile the top 3 and play them this turn, and then you've got the flashback cost, which means you can pay them without paying their mana costs, which is lovely. Throes of Chaos, red and 3 for a sorcery, cascade on it as well. So obviously when you play it, you just cascade. Look for a converted mana cost 3 or less to put it onto play. Then you can retrace. You may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land, in addition to paying its other costs. So yeah, I don't know about Cascade in this deck. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe I'm missing something here, but I think this could just be replaced with something else. Bitterness Blast, this is quite cool. Black, red, and 3 for a Cascader card again. It deals 4 damage to target creature, but then you cascade for something with 4 CMC or less and put it into play or cast it for free. So yeah, there's a couple of Cascadey things going on in the deck, but I think that could just be removed for a murder, 4 damage to target creature. What's that going to do? So yeah, I think that could probably be removed. Dance Macabre. This is a new card from this deck. Black, and 3 for a sorcery. Each player sacrifices a non-token creature and then roll a d20 and add the toughness of the creature you just sacrificed this way. So each player does this. From 1 to 14, return a creature card return a creature card put into a graveyard this way onto the battlefield under your control. 15 plus, return up to 2 creature cards put on into the battlefield this way onto the battlefield under your control. So yeah, just a very weird card. A lot of stuff going on. So each player sacrifices a non-token creature, and then you roll a d20 and add the toughness of the creature you control. Sacrifice this way. So it's just a weird sort of trading of creatures. Everyone sacks a creature, then rolls a dice, and then you get to return different creatures from the graveyard. So it's just swapping everyone's creatures around, really, that are out in play, because you just get to reanimate some stuff. I mean, you can also target cards that have died previously, but when this sort of goes off, it's just a massive sort of creature trade-off, isn't it, really? So I don't really know if this is any good, to be honest. Hex, black, and 4, destroy 6 target creatures. Yeah, I guess it's just a standard card that appears in Commander decks these days. Thiphsis. Okay, this is a kill spell for 7 mana. So black, and 3. Destroy target creature. Its controller loses life equal to its toughness, and it has suspend on there as well. So this is garbage. Take this out for a Feed the Swarm. Take this out for a Feed the Swarm. Feed the Swarm, black and 1, destroy target creature or enchantment, you lose life equal to its mana value. Take that out, it's rubbish. Reckless Endeavour, so red, and 5. This is a new card to this deck. Roll 2 d12 and choose 1 result. Reckless Endeavour deals damage equal to the result to each creature, then create a number of treasure tokens equal to the other result. So that's quite good. It's like a sort of Blasphemous Act ramp card late game. So that could be quite good, but I think you'd probably just run Blast Act instead. Fevered Suspicion, a new card. So black, red, and 6 for a sorcery. Each opponent exiles cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. You may cast a number of spells from among those non-land cards without paying their mana costs, and it has Rebound. So yeah, that's a fantastic card in this deck. Very powerful. Yeah, the fact that you can play it twice over 2 turns is just going to get you some serious value. So yeah, that's pretty good. And Apex of Power, red, and 7 for a sorcery. Exile the top 7 cards of your library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among them. If this spell was cast from your hand, add 10 mana of any one colour. So yeah, just a big flashy spell. It could probably be taken out. you know, but it's just good to have in there, especially if all these commander decks are facing off against each other. You're going to have some stupid plays with this sort of card. So yeah, there are all the spells in the deck. I mean, there's a few in there that are like, what the hell is that doing in there? But still, I thought it was some good stuff in there. So guys, go on to the artifacts now. Then we've got Bag of Devouring, which is new to this deck, I think. It's a black artifact, so you pay a black and comes into play. Whenever you sacrifice another non-token artifact or creature, you exile it. And then you can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice another artifact or creature to draw a card. And you can pay 3 and tap it and sacrifice it to roll a d10, return up to X cards from among cards exiled with the Bag of Devouring to their owner's hands, where X is the result. So it's a good little thing to... You know, if in Aristocrat strategies, it's just a way of also drawing some cards, and then you can just sort of bring those cards back at a later stage. I mean, I don't know how I would use it, to be honest, but it's a cool little card. You know, it's a throwback to, you know, Bag of Holding. You got the Bag of Devouring. I don't know whether that's an actual thing in D&D, but it's a cool card, cool artwork. I don't know how I'd use it though. It's too mathy for me. Of course, you got a Soul Ring. Of course, you've got an Arcane Signet. The typical ramp pieces. This is interesting. This is a new card. Bucknard's Everfull Purse. So it's a 2-mana artifact. Comes into play. You can pay 1 and tap it and roll a d4 and create a number of treasure tokens equal to the result. And then the player to your right gains control of it. So yeah, an interesting card. It's very, very good ramp for cards that don't necessarily have ramp, but then you do have to give it to somebody else. So yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. You can make some deals and stuff, and it's more of a political thing. But yeah, I think it's quite cool. I imagine it will see some play. Ebony Fly. I think this is a new card as well. So it's a 2-mana artifact. Enters battlefield tapped. It taps, add colourless. You can pay 4 and roll a d6. Instead of turn, you may have Ebony Fly become an XX insect artifact creature with flying, where X is the result. And whenever Ebony Fly attacks, another target attacking creature gains flying instead of turn. So it's like a little, just like a little mana rock that can really just turn into a bit of a pest. So yeah, that might see some play. Felwar Stone, brilliant reprint to have, and I think that's going to be the chase artifact. Of these commander sets is going to be the Felwar Stones, because they're very, very much in demand. I don't think they've seen reprint for a while, so this is a good reprint. Fiend Lash. This is a new equipment in this deck. Red and 1. It says equipped creature gets +2/+0 and has reach. And whenever equipped creature is dealt damage, it deals damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker, and it has an equipped cost of red and 2. So yeah, that's quite good. It's a bit of a attack deterrent in a way, and a way to get through some massive damage, because people are more scared of blocking you, because you can then just deal damage equal to its power to target player or planeswalker. So it's just like a nice little thing to hold over someone's head. Is Fiend Lash. That's quite cool, but a nice little bit of direct damage to a player's face if needed. Mind Stone, brilliant ramp. Rakdos Signet, brilliant ramp. Talisman of Indulgence, brilliant ramp. Chaos Wand, I don't know what this is doing in there, but it's a cool effect though. I've never used it in a game, but I've always looked through it in my rares and thought, Chaos Wand, what can I do with that? But yeah, it's a 3-drop artifact. You can pay 4 and tap it. Target opponent exiles cards from top of their library until they exile instant or sorcery. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, then put the exile cards that weren't cast on the bottom of the library in a random order. So I can see why it's in this deck, because it cares about casting cards from exile, creating treasures, doing things. So yeah, it's definitely a good include in this deck. A bit expensive, but still cool. Commander Sphere, great ramp. Orazka Relic, I guess that could be ramp and card draw. So yeah, it's just a nice little cheap rock in Rakdos, and then of course Unstable Obelisk. So yeah, we got a nice little ramp package for the Rakdos decks here. Obviously, black and red isn't known for ramping, so you do need to chuck in loads of these rocks in there, and a lot of them do have extra things that they do, like drawing cards or destroying permanents or that sort of thing. So yeah, that's pretty good. Then we've got some enchantments in the deck. We've got Warlock Class. So this is the new sort of class mechanic that I was going through. I've did a video on this previously, so I've floated it in the top corner now if you do want to go and see my initial reactions to this. Yeah, this is black 1 black for an enchantment class. It's like a saga card, but you have to level it up. So it enters the battlefield, and it has this first ability. So it says, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died this turn, each opponent loses 1 life. So it cares about death triggers, so it could be good in aristocrats. Then you can level it up for 1 black and 1 other. And it says, when this class becomes level 2, look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So you get a triggered ability when it becomes level 2. You don't get this every single turn now. But yeah, it's just like a Underrealm Lich type of effect, digging through your library for some more cards, chucking the rest into your grave, so that's quite good. This might go in sort of my Ishkanar deck because it counts as an enchantment, a bit of card draw and stuff. And then you got the level 3, which is pay black and 6. And at the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn already. So yeah, just a great way of doubling some damage in black, and it's like a wound reflection, Archfiend of Despair type of effect on the end there. It's quite expensive to get there, but sometimes these things can be left unchecked, and therefore win you the game, so that's cool. Dead Man's Chest. This is an Ixalan card reprint, 1 black and 1 other for an enchantment aura, and it says enchant creature and opponent controls. When enchanted creature dies, exile cards equal to its power from the top of its owner's library. You may cast non-land cards from among them for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana Zoa and mana of any colour to cast those spells. So yeah, just like puts a little bit of a curse on a creature that's doomed to die. You then exile cards on top of the opponent's library equal to its power, and you can cast some spells that way. So that's quite good in this deck. Share the Spoils. This is a new card from this set. 1 red and 1 other. Well, from this commander release, I should say. It's an enchantment, and it says when it enters the battlefield, if an opponent loses the game, exile the top card of each player's library. Okay. During each player's turn, that player may play a land or cast a spell from among cards exiled with Share the Spoils, and they may spend mana as though a mana of any colour to cast that spell. When they do, exile the top card of their library. So yeah, it's just a weird. So when someone loses the game, when it enters the battlefield, or an opponent loses the game, exile the top card of each player's library. So it comes in. Each player exiles the top card of their libraries, or whenever an opponent loses the game, each player does that again. Okay, so it just stacks up as time goes on. With players losing the game and stuff, it comes in, you get 4 cards. When someone loses the game, you get 3 cards. And when another person loses the game, you get 2 cards. So you've got about 9 cards there after 2 players have lost the game after this has come out. Okay, all right. And then during each player's turn, that player may play a land or cast a spell from among the cards exiled of Share the Spoils, and they may... Yeah, so anybody has access to the Share the Spoils cards, which can be good and can be bad. Obviously, it's good for this deck, because you can cast cards from the ones that have been exiled, which is quite good. Yeah, your opponents could have access to some absolute stinkers of some cards with this. So it's a cool design. I do like the design of it, because it's just, sharing out people's cards that you wouldn't normally have access to, and I'm all for that in red, definitely. Shiny Impetus, just garbage, I'm not even going to go through that. And then Theatre of Horrors, which is good in this deck. Black, red, and 1 for at the beginning of your upkeep, exile top card of your library. During your turn, if an opponent lost life this turn, you may play cards exiled of Theatre of Horrors, and you can pay a red and 3, and it deals 1 damage target opponent or planeswalker. So just a good way of exiling cards, top of your library, and being potentially able to play them if an opponent lost life for this turn. So yeah, that's a good card in this deck. So if you can guarantee someone to lose life, you're going to be able to basically have another card in hand with this. So that's pretty good. And then we got some lands. I don't think there's really anything that really stands out here. You got Bajuka Bog, which is great for hosing graveyards. Command Tower, yeah, brilliant. Foreboding Ruins is quite good in black and red, because you've only really got mountains and swamps in your hand most of the time, so this will come into play untapped most of the time. Shadowblood Ridge, great card. Smouldering Marsh, again, very, very good. And Underdark Rift is a new card, I think, in this deck. Yep, so it adds a colourless, and you can pay 5 and tap in Exile Underdark Rift, and then roll a d10, and then put target artifact, creature, or planeswalker into its owner's library, just beneath the top X cards of that library, where X is the result. So it's like a removal spell on a land. So that's very good. I do like that. Yeah, nice to see. I wonder if that's going to be different in every deck. Maybe there's going to be a new land in every deck that does something. But that is cool. A removal spell on a land. So we don't really see that much. We've seen Blasting Zone, I think, or Blast Zone. But yeah, I haven't actually seen a artifact, creature, or planeswalker shuffled into the deck. That is pretty good. So it also gets around all of the indestructible style stuff as well, because it puts it into the library. So if you target a commander with this, obviously they can just put it to the command zone. But yeah, I think that's very, very good, very, very useful. So yeah, that is the deck. Planar Portal, spoiled by MTG Goldfish. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. There's a really, really good synergies in there, and it cares about the whole sort of exiling cards to do things strategy, which I think is a strategy that we've seen a long time coming, and we've had a couple of sort of hints to it with like Lelia, the Blade Reforged in the Strixhaven decks, as well as I think there's a few others that cared about sort of exiling cards for benefit, but we have seen it sprinkled about other sets, and it's good to see that they're finally sort of coming to the mystic, arcane, devilish, 9 circles of hell style theme, with the fact that it cares about exiling cards for benefit, which I think is going to be good. I think it's going to be good fun to play with, and I think it's going to be a space that Rakdos. Well, Rakdos is known for sort of that impulsive draw, isn't it? The exile and top cards you may play in this turn sort of strategy. So a whole deck based on that. There's going to be a lot of upgrades and stuff that you can access for this deck. So yeah, leave a comment in the section below as to what you would take out, what you would include. If there's any cards that I might have missed for this that are staring me in the face. I mean, this channel is a lot of flesh and blood recently, so my MTG brain is pretty much switched off. I'm trying to switch it back on again, because there is a lot of knowledge there to be tapped into. So yeah, please make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the little bell notification if you want to be notified of any future videos. And if you're a fan of MTG, definitely subscribe. There's going to be more stuff coming out for this awesome game, albeit I think I had a little bit of burnout recently. But yeah, stay tuned, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace!